Hello, friends, and welcome to the November 15th episode of The Purposely Broken World. I am your host, Kevin Nunez, and I am thrilled to have you with us again for another episode. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us today. And I don't know why I keep saying we when we both know it's mostly just me talking into the microphone, hoping that someone listens on the other side. So if you're one of those lucky people listening on the other side of my microphone, I want to thank you in advance. And I thank you for this time together. And I hope that I can give you some kind words of wisdom along the way. On this episode, I want to talk about a 3-word question. What are you thankful for? Wait, that's like 5 words. I can't count clearly, but still you get the idea. The following is a part of Uchi Productions. All comments expressed are strictly that of Kevin Nunez and his guest. Thank you for your time and enjoy the show. I am Kevin Nunez, the host of the flagship show. Do you know that 1 in 4 Americans are diagnosed with some form of disability? At least according to the CDC. Well, guess what? I am your new disability buddy. On this show, we will discuss how disability, faith, and society always interact with each other, even though no one wants to talk about that. This show is designed to give you more questions than answers. It's designed to help you have a conversation around your dinner table. If you're into that kind of thing, this is the show for you. Laugh, live, and love while you listen or watch this podcast. See you soon. I know it's kind of an easy topic. Sue me. I know we're close to Thanksgiving. I know you'll see this approximately like 1 week before Thanksgiving, so my timing might be a little bit close to Thanksgiving, but that's kind of the point. And I know a lot of people talk about it at their Thanksgiving table, but I really wanted to delve into this topic this week just because there's war, there's rape, there's murder, there's jerks all around the world, and it's so easy to get bogged down with negativity that it's difficult to see the positives. So I wanted to make an episode specifically about finding moments of light in dark situations. Because as we both know, or as both know, because it is just me and you talking right now, there is 1,000 negative things going on right now. How could we be thankful when there's 2 major wars occurring on the other side of the world? There's a war in Ukraine, and there's a brand new war in Israel, and neither one is ending anytime soon. There are both women and men getting raped every few seconds in this world or in this country. Many people don't go get their rape kits, and they never find out, or they never fully get to persecute their attacker. There's people getting murdered out there for no reason at all. Color doesn't matter. Death is death. School shootings, gang shootings, cop shootings. It's hard to find positive in the world. So what I wanted to do then was, since I don't think it's fair or even right, quote unquote, to compare one person's struggle with another, because I am not the be all end all authority of the world, nor should I be. I wanted to use my examples from 2023, mostly just two, and tell you how I turned those negatives into positives. Because, like I said, this world is all kind of jacked up and not always fun. With that being said, I think I'll go ahead now and get started on the stories. The first story I want to touch on was back in August of 2023. Simply put, I was sick all summer and I didn't know why. A lot of people don't know this, but I would spontaneously get like stomach bugs where I would like vomit every like 2 or 3 months. I would just get like a random stomach bug and nobody would like figure out why. And it became more frequent to the point where I was vomiting once or twice a week. So we knew something was wrong. For the record, I'm 36. Like most 36-year-old males, I don't like to go to doctors. I've had my fill of doctors over the years, so I usually try to avoid them as much as possible. But when we knew something was wrong, I ended up in the ER. For me, going to the hospital is always an adventure for obvious reasons. Yes, I can advocate for myself what I need and what I'm feeling, but that doesn't mean that I'm still not a fragile patient, because at the end of the day, I can't get out of the bed on my own. Not to mention that the months leading up to this, nobody wants to admit that when you're 36, one of the reasons why you can't leave home is because now you've got this mystery diagnosis where you're randomly throwing up after dinner. And, nobody wants to put on their dating profile that, oh yeah, by the way, we'll have a nice dinner. Just, you might have to clean me up after I puke at least once or twice a week. So, you feel more like a burden. For the average person, they have a diagnosis. They might have some discomfort, but they can usually clean up themselves without anybody really noticing most of the time. For me, it's always an ordeal. So here I am in the ER at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night because I had just once again thrown up dinner. I get my blood test. I did my urine test because they thought it was a kidney stone because I had one years ago. Now I drink more water than ever, so I can never have a kidney stone because I literally drink water all the time. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding up a bottle of water right now as I take a sip. So blood test, EKGs, I did a heart test, did a liver test. They did all kinds of tests. They really couldn't find anything because I am generally healthy. Finally, they did a CT scan of the whole abdomen. I had a rather large hiatal hernia that was, of course, interrupting my digestive process. We found a doctor that was going to do the robotic test. Important surgery because there's no mesh, and your body kind of develops its own mesh over time. So it's much more easier on your body, and it kind of heals itself. Plus, it's much less invasive because it's done robotically. The only thing was that I had to stay in the hospital overnight. Usually for a regular person, this is not a big deal because they're fine by themselves. I can be by myself without a problem. However, when you're in a hospital, you are kind of more fragile because you're in discomfort. You're, in my case, I can't get out of the bed on my own under any circumstances. And you're kind of at the mercy of a whole bunch of strangers. Now, usually you are allowed to have a person stay with you for the duration. This, for me, was just Occam's razor, or Murphy's Law, I should say, because Occam's razor is a whole different thing. But Murphy's Law, I was gonna stay the night at the hospital by myself. Again, not a problem. I wasn't necessarily scared, but I'll say anxious because since I couldn't eat, I was gonna be pumped with IV fluids to make sure I was, stable and, healthy throughout the night and all that stuff. So what happens when you have tons and tons of fluids? You pee all night. And all day. So, again, usually not a problem, but in a hospital, I really kind of had difficulty assisting myself, urinating, to like roll over and stuff because, again, with the wires and stuff, it just wasn't easy. So I always had nurses in and out, nursing. My nurses were wonderful. What did I do for this night that I clearly didn't have the best sleep? And I might have mentioned this in other podcasts, but I wanted to go back because this was really one of the highlights of 2023 for me. Was I just talked to God. I got my phone, my Bible app, and I went back and forth through the Word all day long. I know a lot of people would go through Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. And yes, I did too. I'm not gonna lie. But I do believe in God. And this was a very nice moment, or I should say night with Him. Because it was just Him and I for the most part. Because the nurses don't come in until you call them in. With the button. So, so it was just me and God, and I was just so thankful that we were able to connect because there really weren't no distractions, and it really goes to show, folks. Again, I'm not a preacher, I'm not a psychiatrist, but if you can get away with all the distractions of life, just give God some time. You and Him can have a moment, regardless of what denomination you choose to express. You and God can have a nice moment if it is just you and Him, and it really was one of the greatest nights of my life because it was honestly just peaceful. I couldn't worry about work because I knew I couldn't work for the next week. I knew my family was okay. Like, I knew they all went to sleep. So I couldn't worry about, bills. I couldn't worry about, this email this person, or to get this advocacy project done. I literally didn't have the strength to do it. So I kind of just had to lay there and let my body heal. So that was a great night. Will I say that the weeks after I was the best sport ever? Probably not, because again, by the second or third week, even though I was in the hospital, I was out of the hospital, it was only one night, you still have to go back home and teach your body how to eat again, because I basically had my stomach realigned. So I kind of had to give myself patience and understanding again, because I couldn't eat all the stuff I usually ate. So I kind of had to, let my body heal and not do anything. And as a person who's a go-getter, we're not used to not doing. So it was a struggle, but it was the struggle I needed to go through. Sometimes we need to go through a struggle to learn a lesson that God is trying to teach us. And sometimes we have to be still in order to learn it. Before I get to my second grateful story, I want to take a time out here and I want to remind you that if you like my content, you can support the podcast by either PayPal, Cash App, or the link directly in the bio, as well as the link to my book, Confessions from Disability Limbo. All the links are in the description below. And, of course, on the website. Think of me as a guitarist on the street. I'm not begging for money, but doing these podcasts and producing this pretty much on my own. You know, it is a small team. Usually it's just me and Jesus, working. So any kind of donation you would feel comfortable giving would be tremendously appreciated. The good thing with PayPal or Cash App is it's one time. You can do it one time or as many times as you like. The same thing if you liked Miss Betsy's podcast that she did last week. If you want to give her a donation, just make sure you do so. Leave a little note saying that this is for Miss Betsy. Her and I work obviously together on a lot of projects. So if you want something specifically to go to her instead of just the team collective, let me know. Or leave her, just leave a note for her so she'll know and it'll go directly to her instead of the collective. Alright, folks, that's it for the plugs. On back to the story. My second story that I wish to impress upon you is my trip to the state of Maine. For those of you who don't know, I live in New Jersey. This was not a vacation. I wish it would have been. I shouldn't say that's the bad choice of words. It was a work trip. It was an advocacy trip. For those of you who don't know, I am now the Region 7 representative for Self-Advocates Becoming Empowered. SABE, it is the leading self-advocacy board run by and for people with disabilities strictly. There is a team of advisors who are volunteer, who facilitate things for us, but the entire board is run by individuals with a host of disabilities. And this was a work trip, but it was the first work trip I had gone on without direct family involvement. I had, paid caregivers too, in fact, because my nightly routine is a little bit more involved. So, I needed two people just because of my nightly routine. Was this easy? No. Was this always fun? No. Did I have fun? Did I have an experience of a lifetime? Yes. But was it like a mind-boggling adventure? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. This, for me, was by far the longest I've ever been away from home. As far as distance. It takes a lot to travel with a wheelchair. This may be a surprise to folks, but air travel is not the most reliable when it comes to wheelchairs or other mobility aids. So we decided to drive from Jersey to Maine. So it was an odyssey to get there and an odyssey to get back. But sometimes we have to be thankful, even though we don't fully understand the journey we're going on. I'll be honest, this, and again, I know I've mentioned this in a few podcasts, but I really want to just share my experience, not out of vanity, but because it's not fair to, compare one person's struggle to another. This is going to be a difficult journey. It's for the next 2 years. That will be representing those 7 states. I am shocked that literally God sent me a message saying, okay, you have to do this. But he did, and I don't fully understand it. I don't know how much I can do and what I can't do, but I'm learning every single day, and, some lessons God has chosen that I have to retake because I'm kind of stubborn as a person, as we all are, so God usually teaches us the same lesson more than once, and I think that's something we all need to learn, is that we are stubborn, we are prideful, and as soon as we let go of all that, we can learn so much more. Life is always an adventure. We don't always choose to see it, but it truly, truly is. Every day is an experience. Every day is a new lesson. But we're not always grateful for it because we are so focused on what we don't have that we never fully embrace what we do have. Maybe I said something to you. Maybe I said nothing at all to you. I am grateful for each and every one of you who took the time to listen to my podcast. I'm grateful to each and every one of you who decided to leave a donation. I'm grateful to everyone who wanted to share. I'm grateful for anyone who wants to actually leave a comment. I think sometimes people are afraid to leave comments. Don't be. Let me know how I can grow. Let me know how I can change to make this a better podcast experience for all my listeners, even though I know it's very small. But I want to make it the best podcast it could possibly be. I want to thank you to all my guests so far. Miss Brandy Rosley, Miss Betsy Lee, who does her own podcast on this network called Living an Extraordinary Life. Be sure to check out her episodes as well. I'll probably do another 2 episodes in December. I probably will skip the January 1st episode. I will do a January 15th episode. That'll be season 2. And I want to thank you, each and every, for taking the time to listen and hopefully learn. All comments are welcome. If you're listening on Spotify, you can leave a voice note and I'll make it a part of the episode. That being said, have a great day. See you next time. This has been another episode of The Purposely Broken World, part of the Advocacy Life podcast network. The Purposely Broken World will air 2 episodes a month. If you like this episode, please consider supporting the podcast by clicking in the link in the description. Every little bit helps. Please follow our social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All comments are welcome. Thank you so much for your time. Have a blessed day, and see you very soon.